GeForce NOW has begun rolling out the new 4080 SuperPods for Ultimate Tier members, but there's a feature you can take advantage of right now whether or not a SuperPod has shown up to a city near you, as long as you're subscribed to Ultimate, that is. And that's Ultrawide support. Everything you're seeing in this video was captured in the 21:9 aspect ratio straight off a GFN instance running on a 3080 SuperPod. Let me just kick things off by saying that I was super pumped when Nvidia announced ultrawide support was coming to the cloud via the new tier. Before cloud gaming, the primary way I gamed on my local PC was in ultrawide. I've always found it to be a much more immersive experience and one that I've kinda deeply missed ever since primarily switching to cloud gaming. And much like high refresh rate support, it's more of an enthusiast feature, and one I didn't really expect to see supported this early on in cloud gaming's life, to be perfectly honest with you all. But if there was ever a company to push this sort of support out, I guess it makes sense that it's Nvidia, and man am I ever glad they did. It's a fantastic experience, and right out of the gate it works exactly as expected. Simply go to your GFN app settings, select your ultra-wide resolution, and hit play on a game, and you're in. I'm happy to report that the overall clarity and latency is simply great. It feels practically identical to gaming on my local PC, except the hardware powering this experience can give me higher frame rates than my gaming PC can. And to keep it real with you all, it's wild to me just how far cloud gaming has already come, and props to Nvidia for constantly pushing it forward to showcase just how good it can be despite still being in its infancy. I was initially concerned that the stretched resolution may make things like artifacting more notable, but no, the clarity is on par with the higher resolution streaming that's already part of the service. That's not to say that there is none in worst case scenarios like really dark lighting or areas with a ton of foliage, but if you ask me, it's gotten to a point where the only time you'll really notice any sort of artifacting is by directly looking for it rather than playing the game. More importantly, the experience in ultrawide is just beautiful and immersive. Having more screen real estate for your game just makes it easier to draw yourself into the world that you're playing in. GFN Ultimate does a perfect job at simply making that immersive experience more widely available. It's crazy to think that you can pick up an ultrawide monitor for gaming without having to need expensive hardware to actually power the experience. A simple subscription to GFN Ultimate and you're pretty much good to go. Heck, even in my own use case, my ultrawide supports up to 120 FPS output. GeForce NOW supports it as well, but my gaming PC can drive it for the most demanding experiences, but thanks to GFN, now it can. Since we're on that topic, let's also briefly talk latency, and as expected, it's as good as it's always been when it comes to the 3080 SuperPods. That's to say it's extremely good, more than good enough for multiplayer gaming sessions and absolutely amazing for any sort of single player content. If you can take advantage of the 120 FPS support, it makes it that much better. But as always, I need to clarify that a lot of latency is going to be entirely dependent on your own home connection and the distance to the data center you connect to. Personally, I've been using the 3080 tier, which has now been upgraded to the Ultimate tier since its launch, and I do most of my multiplayer gaming through there without issue or ever feeling like I'm being held back whatsoever. Now, positives aside, there are still some negatives to ultrawide gaming on GeForce NOW. While GFN supports the most popular resolutions like 3440 by 1440, 3840 by 1600, and 2560 by 1080, it currently does not support the largest resolution out there, that is 5120 by 2140. To be perfectly fair, there's not many monitors out there that even exist with that resolution, but it is a current limitation worth noting. Another thing worth pointing out is that since it's all being run through GFN servers, you cannot mod a game that doesn't support ultrawide to suddenly support it. In my experience, this tends to be more of an issue for older games, as most newer releases all tend to support 21:9, but when you run a game without support on your ultrawide monitor, you will have to deal with black bars on the side. It's not a deal breaker for me, but I know that there are some people who can't stand it. All things considered though, ultrawide works great, and I'm super happy that it's here, and I probably will go back to doing most of my gaming like this both locally and on the cloud now. It's a feature I know a lot of people have been requesting for some time, so it's great to see it arrive, and it does seem to show that Nvidia is paying attention to its customers as well. Not to mention it also brings added benefits for mobile users, as games will fill up more of their mobile screens. I gotta say, I also think the name change to Ultimate tier is quite fitting with the latest feature additions. Support for ultra-wide resolutions and up to 4K 120 FPS on the new 4080 SuperPods is quite the achievement. Not to mention 240 FPS support with Nvidia Reflex is pretty mind-blowing. I'm really looking forward to testing it all out on the new 4080 SuperPods once they roll out to the servers closest to me, and I'll be sure to update you all with my thoughts and impressions once I get to experience it. For now though, the 3080 SuperPods work fantastic for ultra-wide gaming. It's a great experience, and I would highly recommend it if you're interested whatsoever. If you have any remaining questions about playing GFN and ultrawide, or just ultrawide gaming in general, feel free to let me know down in the comments section below. I'll be sure to answer what I can. Now, if you enjoyed this video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out. And if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. As always, thank you for watching the video. This has been the Virtual Cloud, giving you the latest and greatest on everything cloud gaming related, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.